Hi everyone, welcome to this week's TBT Transfer Talk. Obviously, it's the third show we've done, sort of rounding up all the transfer news from this week. This week with me, I've got Harry Sethi, who you'll know on Twitter as @Harry_Sethi, sort of to discuss everything from this week. So we were just saying off air actually. I mean, it's been a pretty busy week in terms of getting deals done and stuff. Certainly early in the week. I mean, since we've done this, Lovren was confirmed on the evening where we did the last show, and then I think Origi was confirmed the next day. So two more in, six so far, and it's looking like it's going to be seven or eight very soon. So we best get underway. So as I said there, Lovren and Origi confirmed earlier in the week. Harry, Lovren said, I mean, he was due to fly out to America to join up with the group on the tour, but the visa stuff's held it all up, and he's decided he's going to stay in the UK now. Apparently, he's been training with the under-21s. You pretty happy with that signing, Harry? I mean, Jamie Carragher's been talking him up today as the leader that we might need. What do you think of the Lovren signing?
I like Lovren. I think he's a good player. I think he had a reasonably good season for Southampton last year. I think maybe changed a bit after he got injured, but he was reasonably seemed to be a good organizer and on the front foot. You know, the type of defender you'd assume Rodgers would like. I was a bit in two minds before he signed actually, because obviously he's played as a left centre back for the majority of his career, so it does raise questions about where Saka's going to play. Is Saka going to play? Is he going to come in and maybe take Saka's place, or will Rodgers try and play Lovren on the right, where he has played a few times, and partner him up with Saka? But we probably overpaid a bit. But like people have said before, I mean, if this is the target the manager wants, then I'm willing to back it until I see him play, and give him the benefit of the doubt for now. I'm hoping it will be a French-speaking partnership at the back rather than a Slovakian guy, Saka. It's a shame he can fly out, like you said, but he seems ultra keen, doesn't he? He seems really happy that he's joined Liverpool. Lots of tweets, lots of hashtags at stupid visas. He's raring to get going, and yeah, I saw the Carragher thing as well today. And you just go, Carragher's talking him up as well. So yeah, I mean, as long as he as long as he doesn't disrupt Sacco, for me, I'm pretty happy with that signing. I think he's got room to improve. And whilst I wasn't a massive fan of him last season, I can see the potential there, to be honest. So
Yeah, I mean, like you say, he does seem very keen to have joined. He put Liverpool Football Club in his Twitter handle, didn't he?
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Well, there'll be a photo of him with Mighty Red soon, won't there?
Definitely, yeah. And so yeah, it's looking like the earliest we're going to see him is against Dortmund time next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, the big question, as it has been ever since we were first linked with Lovren and it became clear he was our top centre back target, will he play with Skirtle or Sacco? Question was actually put to Rodgers last week after the Olympiacos game, I think it was, in his press conference, and Rodgers said, well, he's played on the right a fair bit. He's right-footed, so he can play there, but he prefers and likes to play on the left. So maybe hinting that he will partner Skirtle. But then he did sort of say, we'll wait and see. So I think it sort of depends on,
Yeah, I mean, there's
pressing in training and stuff.
Yeah, there's probably that to it as well. But I think Saka's been impressive, isn't he? He was impressed in the World Cup, and injury hit last season a bit. But I mean, no one's really considering the possibility of maybe if we'll play a three at the back. That's obviously a possibility now, and we're going to move on to talk about the fullbacks. But now we've got some fullbacks who seem to be more competent bombing forward, or we will soon get some fullbacks who are competent bombing forward. Maybe we can, employ a three at the back and go with wing backs or something like that. That could be a possibility. But no, yeah, I think we shouldn't be too down on Lovren. I mean, I know some people on the Twitterverse, the Twitter universe, aren't too happy about him signing, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for the while at least.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say there, I mean, the three at the back was also something Rodgers alluded to
Yeah.
last week. I mean, we've definitely got options. So yeah, that's Lovren. That was confirmed on last Sunday night.
Mm.
And then the other one, the next day, I think it was, or was it
Mm.
Tuesday? I think it might have been Tuesday actually. It was Origi, and
Yeah.
I was quite amazed actually by Rodgers' interview on him. Couldn't have talked him up any higher.
Love.
He was saying he could be he could light up world football. I think the quote was,
Yeah.
and that he's got everything to be world class. I mean, he talked up sort of all his attributes, saying he's the perfect Premier League striker. Really, he's quick, he's strong, he scores goals, and he's obviously gone back on loan to Lille for this season. And Rodgers sort of said he could have been quite handy for this season, especially. I mean, that was a couple of days after the Remy deal broke down.
Yeah.
So is that another one you're pretty happy with, the Origi one, Harry?
The Origi one I'm happy with. Yeah, I think I think I haven't seen much of him apart from his glimpses in the World Cup, but by all accounts he's top talent, isn't he? And very young still, but you can see all the makings there of a real top player. Like you mentioned, a player that Rodgers, you can imagine, you understand why Rodgers would like him, all the styles, all the attributes that Rodgers looks for in a player. I think it's a smart bit of business, getting him in early and loaning him back, not putting too much pressure on him maybe at the start. I know people were a bit worried, obviously, because the Remy deal broke down, and maybe just get him in, quickly. Maybe he could fill the void, but I think it's probably in his best interest to go back. I mean, to an extent, I was wondering, are we in the position to be making these? I think it's a smart deal, but are we in the position to be making these sorts of deals when we haven't shored up? And again, I think we're going to come on to it, but the whole second striker position, we haven't shored that up yet, and we're spending 10 million on good talent definitely, but loaning him back. Are we in like Chelsea's position? Where they've done that with a number of players. Maybe not, but I think it's a smart strategy, and as long as he comes back next season and lights up, his preseason, I'm sure we'll all be glad for it. So it's top young talent, another one, and I'm really happy with that. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could say he could be sort of the Lambert replacement. You're probably only looking at getting a year or two out of Lambert, and Origi's certainly. I mean, he was amazing at the World Cup for 19 years, and hopefully this season at Lille. I know last season he played sort of on the right or the left of a three a lot last season, but hopefully this season he's sort of earned his right to be the main man at Lille, and he'll be really good. Be interesting to watch this season because he's very highly rated. Belgian lot sort of rate him over Lukaku and Benteke. So
I was about to say, it's important people remember that this little known Belgian striker did keep out Everton's record signing at the
28 million
at the World Cup. No, obviously Lukaku's a good player, but I thought Origi showed a hell of a lot at the World Cup, didn't you? And a lot of bottle to lead the line for your country in that sort of pressured environment. Scored a goal, obviously, and if you're keeping Lukaku out of the team after the season he had, it's impressive, isn't it? So I think he can only get better for that experience, and I'm glad that we by all accounts we arranged the deal, didn't we, before the World Cup? So
fee was agreed before, according to Ben Smith. Yeah,
good, because he then went on to shine at the World Cup, and we could look a bit smug because we'd sorted it before. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good business for us. So that's all the sort of the confirmed deals. I mean, we're up to 6 now, including them two.
Yeah.
One or two more that look set to be confirmed in the next couple of days as well, and they're both fullbacks, which has obviously been maybe sort of the big topic on this show the last couple of weeks. Who are we going to go for? This time last week, it looked like it was going to be Ryan Bertrand. But he's completed a move to Southampton this week, much to everyone's delight. Sort of came out of nowhere. It's confirmed in the evening. Nice little surprise for Liverpool fans. He's gone on loan there. So no Bertrand. And then sort of a couple of, I think it was the next day, it emerged amongst everyone really. James Pearce from the Echo, and I think Tony Barrett, in the Times. said that we were on the verge of bringing in Alberto Moreno, who's the left back, that we've been sort of courting all summer, and also Javi Manquillo, the Atletico Madrid right back, who sort of is a link that's come up recently. We discussed a bit last week, and that would be a 2-year loan with an option to buy for 5 million next summer.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's really happy with them too if we can get them over the line. I mean, since that news came out, emerged last night, James Pearce says Manquillo medical tomorrow.
Right.
So that one's obviously a bit further down the line than Moreno, but the general feeling is that Moreno is definitely going to happen, just as a lot have actually felt all summer, really. Got a bit of Twitter reaction on Moreno here, and Mark Thomas says he's a fantastic talent and he'll be a success with his aggressive, attack-minded style. And Harry, I suppose that's what Rodgers has got in mind with Moreno. I mean, he's sort of fullback, likes to get forward. He's going to cost, by the sounds of things, sort of 18 million. I mean, it's not clear at the moment. But I mean, earlier in the summer it was said that they wanted 20 million Sevilla, and we just didn't want to pay up. But whether the Suarez stuff has changed that, or maybe the fact we couldn't get other targets such as Davis and Bertrand has changed that, it now seems that he's set to come in with Manquillo. So that's sort of the big positive news from this week, you could say. So what are your thoughts on them two coming in?
I'm delighted, really, just to have fullbacks in coming to the club. I mean, all summer, it's been. I think after every signing we've made, I've instantly tweeted, that's great. I'm really happy for you, but fullbacks, please. Has anyone seen our fullbacks playing this in pre-season this summer? I thought it was noticeable against City, wasn't it, that all the joy they did have against us seemed to be coming down the flanks, just like it happened when last season. Spanish fullbacks. I mean, if you hear that, you think, where can you go wrong? But obviously Moreno, there's been lots of posturing by both clubs all summer. But I think, lots of people, even Tony Evans and a bunch of other journalists, seem to be of the opinion that it would get done. I mean, that we, just like with our other targets we'd signed so far, it was clear that we want him, and when we've wanted somebody, we've been willing to pay that bit extra in the end just to get it over the line. If missing out on Ryan Bertrand has led us to go for Moreno, I'll be pretty chuffed with that.
Southampton. How many favours has Southampton done us this summer?
I think Moreno's. You look at all the clips of him and people's opinions of him, the scouts who've watched it. It seems to be very aggressive, very quick as well, because obviously pace is now more or less throughout our side. Now we're trying to get pace everywhere, so that will really help us next season if Moreno does come in. He could be an attacking fullback with end product, which is something we haven't seen for quite a while, except maybe Flanagan's renaissance last season. And this Manquillo guy, he seems a good prospect by all accounts as well. Talented, hasn't played too much, obviously. So maybe there's some questions. Are we really going from? Is he already our top target? A 2-year loan. It seems a strange sort of deal. By all accounts, he's a top talent as well, and plays a similar style of football that Rodgers is looking for. So I'm just glad that we're finally getting these fullbacks over the line, it seems, and I think we'll definitely notice lots of improvements once we get them slotted in. It's just a shame that we couldn't get them pre-season, obviously, to get bedded in. But it'd be fantastic, really, get them both in.
That's the only sort of thing, really. I mean, they won't have had much football, though. We were just saying before. I mean, Lallana, Markovic, and Lovren haven't really either. I mean, Markovic has had the 45 minutes, but it's not ideal, really. But they're top players, and I'm sure they'll find a way of settling in. Some other thoughts on Moreno from Twitter. The Gunnarsson at the Special Gun says Moreno will be a good signing, certainly the best available player regarding age and ability and potential at the moment. I think that's the feeling amongst most. I mean, we were just saying before, I think left back was probably the biggest void that many thought we needed to fill this summer. I mean, obviously Flanagan did very well there last year. Enrique was injured, but Enrique, he's got the physical ability. He's very quick, very strong, no doubt about it. But the football brain, I'm not sure there is one, to be honest. I mean, he's obviously just come back from injury, but even in this pre-season, you've seen, he's not really the ideal Rodgers fullback,
No,
and it was definitely an area that we needed to strengthen. And we were just saying, if you'd have said to me before the summer transfer window started, oh, you'll sign Moreno, I'd be really surprised because he was obviously linked to Chelsea, Real Madrid. And so, yeah, hopefully we can get that one done. Estadio Deportivo, a Seville-based Spanish outlet today, are saying that Inez flying out there tomorrow to finalise it. I mean, they've said a lot of things this summer in the Spanish media, so hopefully they're right with that one. But it does seem, last night the likes of James Pearce, Chris Bascom all sort of said that agreement's very close, and it just seems inevitable now, really. As I said, Manquillo medicals lined up for tomorrow. As we've said, it's a strange sort of deal, isn't it?
yeah, 2-year loan, strange.
Yeah, I mean, apparently we were in talks with him on deadline day in January.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So he's obviously one we've lined up. I heard he played with Suso for Spain.
Yeah, that link up, isn't it? Yeah, on the youth front for Spain. I mean, but everyone seems to suggest he's very talented. And Atletico do have, they had high hopes for him. Whether we'll take those hopes from them when we after 2 years buy him, but obviously they've got one front, haven't they? It's a solid option for them, and Manquillo's maybe struggled to get in a bit. I know he got in for a while, but injury kept him out. I'm sure everybody's seen that vine of him landing on his head.
Yeah, true.
But no, I mean, I think Moreno, like you mentioned, is highly rated, and number of clubs were courting him, or seemed to be. We were just mentioning before that we were surprised no one's gone in for Ricardo Rodriguez as well. The Swiss left back seemed to have a good World Cup, and just surprised. I mean, I thought Chelsea maybe had got in for him, but they've obviously gone for Felipe Luis, haven't they? So he's another young left back that I thought we might pursue, but it's been Moreno all the way through, isn't it? We've been flirting with him all the way through, and we're finally taking him home, and so. I think it'll be good. Like you said, Enrique has got the muscles. He's got the FIFA credits, but he hasn't got anything between the ears, unfortunately. And I mean, you saw it in pre-season. He does lots of the basic things maybe right, but then actually maybe I regret saying that. Yeah, but he leaves you very frustrated because obviously he's got the strength and the athleticism to be a really a handful of a fullback, but he just doesn't seem to have the intelligence that Rodgers really requires from players. So these guys are young, and I believe we can mould them to be in our system and get them intelligent. Obviously, you mentioned Flanagan as well. He did really well last season, so I'm sure he'll.
Yeah, I mean, with right back, that's the thing. Flanagan, you'd say once Manquillo comes in, you'd probably think right back's up for grabs. I mean, you've got Johnson, Flanagan, Manquillo, even Kelly you could count. I mean, you wouldn't say any of them are standout, would you? I mean, it obviously depends on how Manquillo settles in. Yeah, and Flanagan, I think, has got a good shout. I wouldn't mind him there. If you're looking for a solid fullback, I mean, out of the four, he's probably the one, isn't he? Again, we're yet to see Manquillo, but Flanagan was brilliant end of last season, and obviously right back's his more natural role, isn't it? So
yeah, I don't think we should forget the contribution he made last season. Obviously, I always thought that he wouldn't be first choice. Maybe perhaps we would require more depth, Champions League football and things like that. But I think he's earned himself a place in the squad, and he'll fight for that. We've seen how he's fought for his place already. So yeah, like you mentioned, he's a competent fullback, maybe more than not. Maybe going to bomb on as much as these Spanish players who are coming in, but. Maybe sometimes we'll need that. If one fullback's bombing on all the time, maybe we need another one to cover on the other side. So maybe that's a system that we could look at. But yeah, I'm sure Flanagan will have his say, and hopefully we'll have another. Was it tweet from Tottenham saying, "Oh, for God's sake, even Flanagan scored as well." So I hope that I really hope he doesn't get crowded out with all these new arrivals. I'm sure he won't.
Yeah, he's definitely a valuable member of the squad. So that's incomings for now. I'll move on to a few outgoings. We've got a question from at the how can he read any updates on players going out, chaps, Asaili, Barini, etc.
Yeah.
In terms of outgoings, we'll start with Thiago Ilori. He was earlier this week linked with Deportivo in Spain on loan. Also, Quatters was linked with him as well.
Yeah.
But the feeling all summer has been that he's going to be loaned out again. James Pearce has been saying Rodgers wants him to go and get more minutes somewhere else. Obviously, it's a bit frustrating we haven't been able to see more of him in pre-season. He played 20 minutes against Bromby and then pulled his hamstring, I think it was. It might have been a thigh injury. We haven't seen him since. He hasn't been able to go on tour, so that's opened up a chance for Quatters to play, who's actually done very well.
Yes.
But, what are your thoughts on Ilori? Would you like to see him? I mean, obviously it looks like he's going to go out on loan again. Would you like to see him at a Premier League club, ideally? I think it's looking more likely that he's going to go abroad again. But
I'm a big fan of Ilori. He's very talented. He's very, very talented. I mean, like you said, it was a shame we couldn't see more of him. He looked very composed in those 20 minutes. He's obviously got buckets of pace that we're still waiting to see. This, I'm still waiting to see him sprint back on, to showcase it. But he did really well last season, didn't he, at Granada? Everyone seemed to be very happy with how he did there. And I know what you mean about maybe going to a Premier League club, because it does seem that the one thing that is lacking from his game is maybe that physicality that you need to be a centre back in the Premier League. So I'm sure he'll be hitting the gym and things like that. But it was interesting that the link with Deportivo, Quatters and Ilori going, because I was having a chat with some people earlier this week watching Quatters. He's done really well, like you say, but thinking about, obviously I don't think we're going to get a chance to see it, but Quatters, he's got the only thing he doesn't have, we all know it, is pace. He turns like a truck or a lorry, but he partnered with somebody who does have pace. I was thinking it could be a really promising partnership, that because one could compensate for the other's strengths, and if they do go together on loan, that would be very interesting to see. I mean, obviously I don't think Deportivo are going to go and put two loanees straight into the back of their defence, but I think they'd be very complementary to each other. And it's been interesting watching Quatters, actually, isn't it? I mean, he's really shown us all that he, there's a reason why he was so highly rated and is so highly rated, in Uruguay. He's very. We were just talking about Enrique not having anything between the ears, but Quatters is very intelligent by all accounts. I've been really impressed. Making good tackles, great positioning at times, and really good touch. I think Rodgers mentioned it in the press conference, and he's impressed by his touch and his passing. So I think Quatters hasn't done himself any harm, really. I mean, he might even end up being an option depending on if Torre goes or not. But it's a shame Ilori, we can't see more of him. I agree with you about a Premier League club. Maybe that would be a better option. But maybe we're just wrapping up in cotton wool for now, just to give him another positive season. I do think the intention is definitely to bring him back. I don't think we're planning to get rid of this guy, actually. I think this will be one of our young centre-backs that we've signed along the years. I think this one will make it, actually, because he's very highly rated by the club. I know that he's very highly rated. So could be a case of the Chelsea's, again, loaning these players out till they're deemed ready. I know Chelsea did that with, was it Zuma? He's just come back, and I'm sure he'll play a part this season for them. So Ilori, it's a shame we couldn't see more, but I think he's got a big part to play in the future, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the general feeling at the moment, I mean, like you said there, everyone's been really impressed with Quatters. Again, last night I thought he was brilliant. As you say, Rodgers has pointed out his touch and good in the air, commanding, very good passer of the ball, good awareness. But I think Rodgers sort of hinted yesterday that he's not going to be able to get enough games at Liverpool as he'd quite like. And he's showing, though, that he can go to a good club and be a very good player for him. I wonder if maybe the slower game suits him, like somewhere in Italy.
I mean, there's the links. It was that guy who came, was it Paletta, who came to us a couple of years back and obviously didn't really get a chance. And then you see him starting in the World Cup for his side. You just you realise that these people having a chat about it as well. It's very, very difficult for a young centre back to break into any sort of top level club because people have made the points before. Sterling can have a bad 60, 70 minutes, does something impressive towards the end, and then he's a hero and he's a great prospect, which I think he is anyway. But Coates can have a fantastic game for 80 minutes, make one error, leads to a goal, and then you're screwed really as a centre back. So I think you're right. He probably won't end up being a Liverpool player, in the long run. But I don't think he's done himself any harm this pre-season. I think you'd probably get a very good loan from that. And like you say, Italy, I think there'd be a number of clubs who'd be daft not to go for him. Just for a suggestion, AC Milan last night, they can use a smart,
absolutely
composed centre back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him move out there. I mean, he needs playing time. He had a long time off with the injuries, didn't he, last year? So I think he's done himself no harm. It's a good attitude to see, isn't it, from these young players? They come back in and they know that he knows by all accounts he's not going to be a part of the team. We just spent 20 million on a centre back, but he's given it his all, and he's looked great.
Absolutely, yeah. Probably won himself a move. We asked a few people on Twitter earlier where they'd like to see a Laurie go. Ali Kambar says, would love it if he went to a lower Premier League club, gets Premier League experience and proves doubters wrong. Yeah. Wayne Baker says Southampton is not a bad place to go and claim a place in a first 11. Koeman could be right for him as well. Yes. Cathal Burke says Swansea or Southampton, a Premier League side who play out from the back and would test his defending a lot throughout a season. And someone who suggests something other than the Premier League, Joe says Bundesliga. Feel he'd have a better chance to develop more aspects of his game there, tactics, and he'd obviously get minutes as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, he's obviously got to recover from this injury first, but he had a few good games for Granada end of last season, and it's a big shame he got injured. I mean, he's brilliant against Barcelona.
Yeah, it was a great, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so yeah, hopefully he finds himself a good move. Staying on centre backs, Kolo Touré we'll quickly touch on. Sky Sports suggested yesterday that we'd rejected a bid from Trabzonspor, is it, in Turkey, who he was linked with earlier in the window. We'd rejected that bid, and he seems to be the one that's going to stay out of the centre backs. I mean, because obviously at the moment we've got Skirtle, Lovren, Sarko, and then Touré, Aga still, Coates, Ilori, as we've just mentioned. Seems that Ilori is likely to go, seems Coates is likely to go. You could say Aga is likely to go, although I'm not sure where. Yeah. But Touré seems to be the one we'd quite like to keep as a squad option. Fourth or fifth choice centre back. What do you think on that? I mean, he didn't have a bad game last night. I think the big thing with Touré is his character, isn't it? He's a leader. He's been there. He's done it. He's won a lot, but with Arsenal and Man City. Gerrard's, is probably, the most experienced sort of level-headed guy in the squad, and we've got so many young players, so can't be too bad holding on to someone like that, can it? And just obviously he's got 1 year left on his contract, so I guess the plan is to let him see it out.
Yeah, I think the people's opinions on Touré are, I think it's mixed, isn't it? I think I wasn't as harsh on him last season as some people were. I thought that whenever he had bad games, or there's some calamitous errors, definitely. But I thought whenever those bad games happened, you usually found it was when he was playing out of position. And he's a right-sided centre back, isn't he? And playing with Skirtle, he's never going to play there. And he looked uncomfortable coming in for Aga. And like you say, his personality is important. He's obviously got a massive one, and I think it's quite clear since Rodgers has come in, he's paying lots of attention to that personality of a player, trying to foster that environment where players have, there's a lot of unity in the squad, and I think he's a good character to have around. Maybe through pre-season, I've thought, why not keep Coates? Instead, he's looked assured, and I'm sure some people think that as well. But I don't think we should be too worried about keeping Toure. He's not on huge. He's not like he's on huge wages or anything. And you got to think, how many games is he realistically going to play? Actually, Skirtle, Lovren, and Sarko. I think they'll be the three we see the most this season. And if indeed Lovren does go on to play on the right, then we might not see hardly any of Toure at all. But I think it's important to keep him there, and I think LFC TV will be thrilled to have him for one more season because he's got some fantastic promos in him. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the quotes that come after we won our first two games, and Toure will talk about how we're going to win the league this season, like he did last season. Everybody thought he was mad, but in the end of the day, Toure came pretty close to to that prophecy came true nearly, and I don't think we should be too worried really about Toure. I'm surprised. I thought you might take the money and go Transport or maybe Qatar, club in that region, but he seems happy, doesn't he? He seems like he wants to end, the majority of his career here. Maybe I'm not sure. He'd probably go to the US afterwards or somewhere, but I don't think we should be too worried. Really, he's not going to impact too much on our season. I wouldn't think. Agger's weird. It's just like you say, I've no idea where Agger's going.
There's a link with Barcelona in the week. I mean, there's a couple of the back pages in Spain Sport that are sort of known to lean towards Barcelona a bit and leak the odd thing that's not right. Said that he was in advanced talks with them and looked set to go there, but that's since been ruled out. It would have been a bit of a strange one. I mean, they've obviously just brought in the left-sided defender Mathieu from Valencia.
They had a lot of money for him as well, so you wouldn't imagine they'd go for him. Yeah. I do think he's on his way out. Just seeing that by all accounts, he's gone. He hasn't featured. There's rumours of an injury, but it's hard to tell, is it really? I think he is on his way out, especially with the fact he's got two left-sided centre backs in front of him now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't see him being back. It's a shame, but I think he's done his time here, and he's served as well. We shouldn't begrudge him a move away.
Exactly. Yeah. Just going back to Toure, we asked a few people on Twitter earlier. We tweeted out, is he a good guy to have in the squad as a fourth or fifth choice centre back? At the bar 301, he's on crazy money, £70,000 a week for a fourth, fifth choice player. At Stuart Walding says, yes, he's definitely a good guy to have in the squad. Great experience, good positive personality, and that'll be good for team morale. At Dave Lyons says, good guy to have around the dressing room, very much a leader behind the scenes. At Talk of the Cop _ says, quality to have in the dressing room, experienced winner and leader, could prove useful, let him see his contract out. So some split opinions there on Toure, just as there is with every Liverpool player and every player that Liverpool seems to be linked with. So that's centre backs for now. As we've just mentioned, Nag has been linked away, but where he'll go is, a bit unclear at the moment. I mean, as we said, the Barcelona one is, I guess you could say, is the strongest link. Napoli haven't been linked with him too much, but whether or not they'll come in remains to be seen. Just moving back to sort of incomings, one of the things I wanted to sort of base the show around today is obviously the biggest talking point at the moment is with Remy, and we've just seen on Twitter now, actually, last few minutes, he's actually turned up for QPR training today. With Remy out of the equation, Rodgers has openly admitted throughout this week that he's still in the market for a striker. And the big, the talking point has been, who's it going to be? Who do you fancy, Harry? I mean, obviously there's been talk of Boney, there's the Leon forward.
Like I said.
And there's other names flying about. I mean, there's even Balotelli today. I mean, that's never going to happen, I doubt. It basically came off the back of Rodgers talking about in a press conference saying, what everyone knows really, that he's got all the tools to be a very good striker, but he doesn't execute it basically just because he's a big twat. So
yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? Who would you like to see come in as a striker, or you could even say a wide forward? It depends which way he wants to go with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you don't. It's difficult to know. I think we all know the style of play that we're aspiring to. We aspired to last season and this season. It raises questions, doesn't it? When you see the Boney links, it raises questions about Lambert and actually what Lambert's role is in the squad now that Suarez is obviously gone. When Lambert came in and it was a third choice to those two, it made perfect sense at the time. But you see his preseason performances, he looks fine. A bit off the pace, but some intelligent passes and movement. But if we do go for somebody like Boney, and the rumours are that we are going back to Boney, it raises questions about how our style will be. I think. I mean, I'm a big fan of Boney. I really liked him when he's in Germany, and I'm a bit gutted we didn't move for him earlier actually, because it's quite clear he had talent in him. But obviously, Suarez and Sturridge wasn't really going to be a need to do that. Boney's it's a big, strong presence, powerful shot. He's not slow, as some people think. He's not lightning as Sturridge or we're used to, but I don't think he's any slower than Suarez maybe. And it may offer us something different. I think that everyone's seen in pre-season. We've won games. Maybe not with looking too impressive up front at times. Lambert getting a bit isolated and things like that. But I think Boney and Sturridge could be a great partnership. Potentially, Boney holding it up and feeding the runs that Sturridge could make. I think it could work really well. I've already talked about how I want to see the dancing. I want to see joint dancing, celebrations. I want to see celebrations between him, Sacco, and Sturridge. I mean, by all accounts, they've danced everywhere. All three of them are done dancing at separate clubs. That's beside the point. Obviously, people want to talk about football, so I'll move on from that. But I think Boney's talented. He scores goals, and he scores a good record at Swansea. Had a great record in Germany, and I think he's only going to improve. So, if he is the one we do go for, I can see the reasons, the arguments for it. You mentioned Lacazette. Is it? I think that's the way.
Yeah, I think that's how I've been saying it as well. Yeah. So we'll go with that.
Lacazette, Emre Can. No, he's Lacazette. He seems very interesting. He's some of the reports suggesting he's perfectly happy at Lyon, but
interested in Newcastle apparently as well, and apparently he's turned them down. And like you say, there's talk of a new contract. So whether we'll get him before that remains to be seen. But
Lacazette looks very talented. He's probably more in the Suarez mould than obviously Boney is. Pacey striker, very tricky, likes his nutmegs, which is something that obviously we need to consider aesthetically for next season. We do need to replace those nutmegs in the squad. That's one thing I will miss greatly. Goals, of course, is the major thing. But you're thinking Lacazette maybe looks a bit more like he's stylistically what we'd go for. Pacey, young, hasn't too much of a pedigree behind him, and that's the one thing that does maybe worry me. He's definitely got talent on his side. We know that, but I do feel that we need a solid second striker to come in and really replace the goals. Not Suarez's goals. Don't be ridiculous, but a solid 15 goal season striker that you'd count on to come in. Yeah. We can see this week. Yesterday, Sturridge just news about having a slight strain, a thigh strain, something like that, and you just know it's a long, hard campaign that's going to be with the Champions League games as well. We really can't rely on Lambert to be second striker. Burini's off by all accounts, or basically I keep saying by all accounts, but I reckon he's off, Burini. As soon as he gets fit, I think Poyet's just waiting to see.
Yeah.
And, we don't have anyone. I mean, obviously Origi's on loan. We really need a good, solid signing. I mean, other people are a bit sad that we haven't perhaps gone for the marquee signing that everyone is complaining and also demanding at the same time. You mentioned a wide forward. The whole Royce rumours going on summer. Maybe we will. Out of nowhere, a link might spring up like the Markovic thing did. Maybe I can't particularly think of who it would be actually at the moment.
I mean, we had a few, as you say. I think Rogers has been sort of hinting. He's been saying he wants another striker, but he's also saying, we've also got Barini, and things depend on his situation. I wonder if Barini goes, which I agree with you. I think he will go.
Yeah.
Poyet sounded very positive regarding transfers yesterday, and I think you're probably right about his shoulder. I wouldn't be surprised by the next time we do this show that Barini's gone off to Sunderland. We'd obviously get a good fee for him as well by the sound of things.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, the question is, who's it going to be? We asked, we did a tweet out earlier as to who people would want. David Clark says has to be Boney. Dan Wilcox says Heung-min Son. That's quite a good shout. As one I've
Very smart shot. Yeah.
tweeted a few times. I mean, we're talking about a wide forward there, and he's probably the obvious one. I mean, we've been linked with him in the German media in the past and stuff, and
it wouldn't surprise me if it's a sort of link that
just pops up. Yeah, exactly.
It goes with our general, the way we've approached transfers. I mean, has he got too much of a pedigree? I know he did very well in Germany last season at Leverkusen, but
yeah, I mean, the only slight sort of argument with him is that he hasn't played up front for a while, and he's usually sort of out on the left or the right.
Yeah.
So the other one was Luke Powell says Kevin Volland. That's quite a good one. Apparently, he's got a 15 million euro release clause and highly rated in Germany at Hoffenheim.
Clever, yeah.
Jack87 LFC says first target Kevin Volland, 15 million euro clause, second choice Lacazette. Steehor simply tweets in a picture of Wilfred Boney with his thumbs up.
Oh wow! Seen that one going around.
And Nick000 at Nick000 says Boney far better goals per game than Volland or Lacazette. So yeah, I mean there's a whole range of shouts there. And Tony Barrett said earlier this week that the priorities for Liverpool now are 2 fullbacks, which look on their way by all accounts,
You've got to think.
and a striker. So,
yeah,
but once them 3 are done, and hopefully they can be done sooner rather than later, then maybe a goalkeeper on top of that. That's pretty much us done, I think.
Yeah, I mean we were talking before. I mean, I've been pleased with the business we've done so far. I mean, it seems to be smart on the whole. I mean, people have their doubts about a few people, maybe Lallana or players like that, but I mean, we might have overpaid to an extent, but I think that on the whole it's been quite smart business.
Yeah, definitely.
These players who've got high ceilings and.
I think people would be a lot more positive maybe if we'd have been able to see more of the likes of Lallana, Markovic.
Yeah, it's a shame.
This summer. I think Markovic. Lallana. I think he's going to really surprise a few people. The word is that he was brilliant in training, and it's just such a shame he got injured. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make it a bit of an early return. Actually, I mean, they were talking 6 weeks, but wouldn't be surprised to see him back for the second game or something. I mean, he seems to be moving pretty freely. I mean, he's obviously come home from the tour a bit earlier than everyone else. He flew back yesterday with Sturridge and Flanagan. Markovic has stayed out there, so maybe we might see a bit of him tomorrow night. It'd be good if so.
Yeah.
But I think once these players are settled, I think we're definitely going to have a really good squad. And if we can add a half decent striker to that, I mean, Boney, is the one that people keep mentioning. But the only thing with that is, if we bought Boney for I think the thing that's supposedly putting us off. I think James Pearce was the one that said it is the fee and the wages. 19 million is what's talked about. If you're buying a striker for 19 million, he probably expects to play. And if you're going to buy Boney and he's going to play, you're probably looking at the diamonds with him and Sturridge up top. Obviously, one player in behind, and you could argue you could play a Lallana or Coutinho in the midfield 3 with Gerrard and Henderson. Yeah. So there's only space for 2 if you buy Boney of the likes of Coutinho, Lallana, Sterling, Markovic. He obviously gives us good options. We saw Ibe last night. It was just brilliant again, and I wonder if he's going to stay and push on a bit, or try and push on rather than being loaned out and learn off the other good players that have come to the club. So yeah, be really interesting to see what happens with that. If we can get that signing right, and if we can bring in Moreno, I'll certainly be very happy with this summer. So yeah, that's the striker situation. Really, we've covered that. A few rumours to round off. Pepe Reina, he's been linked with a few people. Last night, Damasio said Bayern Munich have made him a top target according to him, sort of as backup for Neuer. I mean, I suppose he fits the good on the ball sort of type goalkeeper that Guardiola likes.
He enjoys the bench as well.
Yeah, exactly. Other side was Milan, who he obviously played last night, and they've got Abiati still.
Yeah, that makes more sense, really.
And then there was Napoli. Was there another team other than that? I think it was just them three.
I think it was those three. I mean, you feel a bit sorry for Rayner because
He just hasn't been involved at all, has he? Like, I mean, Rodgers obviously wants him out.
yeah, I
He
mean,
hasn't even been on the bench or anything.
it's a rare one. I mean, yeah, we haven't really seen Rodgers
Be as ruthless as that with
the way he has Rayner. So there's obviously been something out behind the scenes. I know there's talk about is he better than Mignolet or who is Mignolet much better than him? I think we should just bin that really because it's quite clear he's got no future at the club at all. I don't want to see him do badly. I mean, I think if he went to Milan, that's going to be a tough season there because he's going to be conceding more. He's going to be picking the ball out of the net a lot because he's just got no protection. I think Napoli would be the best move for him actually. It just depends whether obviously the wages are an issue and I think it could come down to us taking a hit on Rayner actually and doing the thing that's best for both parties and just taking the hit and letting him go for a small or minimal fee because but that seems to be what's holding any deal up, the wages that he's on currently, and he's got no future here. It's clear from under Rodgers. So
yeah,
he needs to get out, and you don't wish any player that we've had, especially someone like Rayner, to a move that's going to stall his career, and it's already stalled for a while. You could argue so. I hope he moves, and I hope he does well wherever he goes. To be honest.
Definitely. Some news has just come through actually. Just looking at Twitter, Marca, the Spanish outlet,
these guys
saying that Deportivo have agreed personal terms with Thiago Ilori, and the loan move just now needs the okay from Liverpool. So I think by all accounts that looks like one that could happen.
Yep.
I mean, it's football, isn't it, for him? So it'd be a whole season away of regular football in a good league. So if that goes through and Rodgers is happy with it, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean we've got too many. I mean, to be fair to him, he's not going to play. I think he's a huge talent, like I said before, but he's not going to play first team football for us. Really, the most you could hope for if he stayed here would be cup appearances. So yeah, if he has a good season online, loads of games, it's going to help him. I'm sure he'll bulk up as well because that's all he needs to do. Seemingly, he's got all the intelligence and just use the experience really, and maybe Cortez will follow him, like we say.
Yeah, and yeah, that's basically it. Just a few lines to finish off. Dimarzio saying that Rafa Paez, who was a regular for Liverpool under 21s last season and came in last summer from Real Madrid, has agreed a loan move to Bologna in Italy with a view to a transfer. Brad Smith, highly rated left back at Liverpool, obviously had his injury problem season before last. He's been strongly linked with Swindon on a loan deal. And then there's a few sort of rumours and stuff. Bakali, who we mentioned on this a couple of weeks ago, Zakaria Bakali, the PSV winger, Belgian.
Atletico link, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like he was off to Atletico. Apparently everything was agreed between the clubs, but apparently he's holding out and he's stalled in it. So some are sort of assuming that he's waiting for Liverpool. Apparently, according to the Times, and that was showing an interest as well as Spurs.
He's very talented as well, but everyone seems to be raving about him. But again, really young, isn't he? So
yeah, I think it could involve a loan back to PSV, according to a few Dutch reports. So that's maybe one to keep an eye on. And then just a couple of things to finish on. There's a couple of rumours on sort of social media in the week again about Conor Plianka on a couple of forums as well.
Yeah.
Liverpool-related forums. I mean, obviously we went through him in the in the winter. He had his medical when we couldn't get it quite over the line. But obviously with the Remy deal off, you do wonder whether he's a top player and he's the same sort of money with that release clause as Remy is. So I wouldn't be. I mean, we've obviously got a wealth of wide players now, and Markovic plays that side, Lallana, Sterling, Ibe. So maybe that one's a bit too far-fetched, but that could be one to keep an eye on.
I'd like us to do it just so we could stick it to the owner, to be honest.
Yeah. He's really good, Conor Plianka, isn't he? I mean, anyone would complain if he came in for 10 million.
No, I think if you put it from that way, from that perspective, it makes sense. It's like the Remy deal; it just makes sense. The Barini deal, yeah, it's good business if that does come to pass. We've got loads of players in that position, like you said, but maybe wide forwards is another way to make up this, the goals that we've lost with Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
Konoplyanka, yeah. I've seen some rumours about that happening. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be too disappointed with that. Whether that would affect what we did with the striking situation,
Yeah, that's the thing.
and of course, yeah, the one thing that we've definitely been avoiding because it sounds like nonsense, but let's indulge it for a bit. Yeah, Balotelli.
I mean, maybe if he's going to bring in a player like Boney, he feels he wants another wide option as well, and obviously Konoplyanka's the cheapest and probably, for that money, the best guy we could get. So maybe he feels, if we sign Boney, we also need another option out wide just to increase the options a bit. I'm not sure because obviously Boney can't really play out wide. Just a couple of there's a tweet. Elder Mask in Sevilla saying that Liverpool wants Suso to be put in the deal for Moreno, which was actually talked about earlier this window. Could be one to keep an eye on. And yeah, just a final question to finish. Mark Simpson, who was on the show last week, has got a question for us both.
Yeah.
There's how many players will Liverpool sign? Go on, Harry. What do you reckon? We've obviously got 6 in so far. 7. It's looking like a Manquillo.
Yeah, I reckon these fullbacks it's going to happen, isn't it? So it's Manquillo and Moreno. So I'm going to take it up to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Strikers essential. So that'll be 9. Yeah, and you mentioned a goalkeeper, so maybe 10, 11.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, yeah.
It's a hefty number to bring into the squad, but I think, yeah, as it's been explained by loads of people, we're not doing a Spurs. It's been everyone's on board with these signings as opposed to the way it was under AVB with him, these players being brought in without really him wanting them or them fitting his style. So I'm not too worried with that number, really. I think the squad did need reinforcing. Whether our first team is markedly better, you'd have to say. Whenever you lose a player like Suarez, it's more or less impossible to replace them. So I think our squad's a lot stronger, and everyone can agree on that point. But
defensively, you could argue, which is obviously where we needed to strengthen, that with the additions of Lovren and maybe Moreno and Manquillo, that's looking stronger.
Yeah, and you think that with Aga leaving, supposedly that Sarko, if he does have a longer run in the side, that seemed to coincide with good performances last season, or good defensive performances anyway. So
I think midfield as well. You could say with Emre Can and Lallana, I mean, you've got proper depth in there now. You've got someone to give real competition to the likes of Henderson and Coutinho with them too.
That is one area I was going to speak about actually. If there hasn't been too much talk about it this week, but if the Lucas rumours do come back up and he does leave the club, maybe we will go for another midfielder late in the window. You don't know, because we do seem that's probably the one area where we could be a bit light if he was to go. That defensive-minded midfielder. I know Henderson did a lot of that work. I say did all of that work last season, more or less, for us. But it looks by the looks of things, he's going to be doing a lot more attacking play this season. Further forward, getting involved, getting those third-man runs in. So maybe we'll go back in the market for one of those. But yeah, I think the striker is the big one, and after that, I'm not really too bothered by how many signings we make. Really, a backup goalkeeper would be one that you've mentioned that it seems to be. I wouldn't mind seeing Keylor Navas actually. Bring him in.
Just going Real Madrid.
Has he just gone to?
It's just been announced. Funny you say that.
I'm glad I'll be watching them this season then, because he was great, wasn't he? They've just sold Diego. Yeah, okay. Obviously not Keylor Navas, but we need a backup goalkeeper. I think Jones he's just done a decent job, but we really do need we can't be going Jones in Champions League if Mignolet does get an injury, so that would be a smart move really to end the window. And maybe a cheeky bid for Balotelli, but it's not going to happen with the attitude, really, is it? So
there's always a wild card that's thrown about. I mean, who would have said, a month before the end of the transfer window last summer that Arsenal would have gone and bought Ozil?
Yeah,
things like that come up. Willian came out of nowhere to Liverpool, where Angie just happened to put their whole team up for sale. Obviously, Eto'o went to Chelsea as well, and
something Liverpool.
Things pop up.
Something Liverpool have taken or tried to take advantage of, isn't it? In the past, they've exploited these what's the technical term? Market inefficiency is
Inefficiencies,
a technical term or something. But, no, I mean, these things, like you said, these things happen, and we could be in the position, in a couple of weeks, if we have got our business sorted, that we've got quite a bit of money left, really, because if these outgoings do come to pass, if Rayner does go, we'll not get much money for him, but if a couple others do go, Aga being one, maybe Barini, that's a lucrative deal, but should be. So we could be left with 20, 30 and million to spend, and obviously we won't spend it for the sake of it. But if there is an opportunity, then you never know. I mean, there's always these rumours flying around, so maybe that marquee signing will come. You're right at the end when people are least expecting it. If someone gets unsettled, it could happen. But I think we can both agree Balotelli. Yes, it's the problems everyone's talked about with him. The talent's there, everyone knows it, but Steve Peters doesn't have that many hours in the day to work on that. He's just as far as he's just gone, the last thing he'd want would be to deal with Balotelli's ego. So
absolutely, even the great Steve Peters. I think we'll round it off there. I mean, we've talked through a lot. I mean, hopefully next time we do this show, we've got 2 new fullbacks in. That'd be ideal. We should be back next Sunday. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks a lot, Harry, for coming on, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.